Ever since I completed a research study using inhaled insulin, I found myself using it a lot more frequently. And I realized that in doing the study, not only did I get used to it and how it worked in my patients, I also developed a way to teach patients how to use it. So I basically reduced the barriers to my using it, and now I use it often, and therefore I'm quite comfortable with it. So I wanted to share that experience with you and also have you learn from Mark Harmel, my diabetes educator, who's so good at teaching patients how to use it that it turns out it works quite effectively. But the deal with inhaled insulin is as follows. You basically have a patient pick a dose, and it comes in just a cartridge that's either 4 units, 8 units, or 12 units, and the patient takes the dose just before they eat. The insulin works very fast, and it also goes away pretty quickly. So it helps the patient really catch that first postprandial rise, and then if the patient's glucose level is high after eating, they can give another puff to bring down that blood glucose level, and it doesn't cause that stacking phenomena that you get with injected insulin. So the way I look at inhaled insulin is it's really good at the start of a meal, and it's also a great correction insulin. So my patients will use it both after a meal, 1 to 2 hours later if they're high, or sometimes my patients will use it when they're running high. Say a patient is on a sensor, so they see that all afternoon they seem to be high. They can give a puff of the inhaled insulin and it comes back down without going too low. So I see it as an incredibly useful tool for my patients with diabetes. I use it both in type 1 individuals as well as people with type 2 diabetes who are on insulin. And the way that I start a patient is I have them pick one meal, and that's usually dinner. I'm not a big believer in just going from one way and switching entirely to a different way. And obviously patients stay on their basal insulin, and then I usually have them get used to giving it before dinner. A lot of patients may be nervous at first, and they often don't give enough. So they say, oh, only 4 units is what I need. Well, that's not true in most cases. They'll need 8 units or 12 units, but I let them work up. And then I have them see what the effect is. If a patient's on a continuous glucose monitor, it's really easy for them to see the effect of the inhaled insulin and see if their blood sugar is high subsequently. But on patients who are doing self-monitoring of blood glucose with finger sticks, they can also test an hour or 2 after meal to see if they need a correction. So I'll start with it with 1 meal a day, and then patients will advance to more meals a day as they fit this into their routine. So I see it as an exceedingly useful tool to add into the tools my patients already have for management of their diabetes. And as I said, some patients will use it often for every meal, some patients use it more for correction, and some patients use it for both. But I think the key to getting a patient to use inhaled insulin comfortably is all in the teaching. So I'm going to have Mark give you a lesson in how to teach your patients how to use inhaled insulin.
Thank you, Ann. Now, either when I get study participants or patients in the clinic, the first thing that I do is a lung test. So we have to check and see if their lungs are healthy enough in order to use inhaled insulin. So we use this device that measures the lung capacity, and we use something called the FEV1 test. So there's a little cardboard tube that goes onto this device. They take a deep breath in, blow it out very quickly, and then we measure the reading on the front of the device. We put that into a CDC website, and if their lung capacity is at 75% or more, then they qualify to use inhaled insulin. So the next thing you have to teach them is how to inhale. And so there's this device, this inhaler, that's about the size of a whistle. So you pop it open, and then there's these individual little cartridges that you stick into the inhaler. Now you can see that there's a little point on the tip of one of them, and the tub that holds the powdered insulin is on the bottom. So the tub goes down, you fit the point to the point on the inside here, and then you just snap it closed. Now once you keep it closed, then it's important to keep it level, because if you tip it over, then the insulin will fall out. So you take off the mouth guard, and then the next step is to take a little sip of water. Then inhale smoothly and gently. Hold it in your lungs a little bit, and then exhale. Now, there's a little video on the Afrezza website that seems to have worked wonders for some of my patients, so I often show that, and it's on the Afrezza homepage. Then once we teach them how to inhale, we have to teach them how to take care of the insulin. So inside the package, there's these two folded pieces of paper. One of them has the typical drug warnings that's in many of your medications. And then on the inside of one, there's one that has sort of some nice pictures with instructions, and then there's its refrigeration page. So just like your liquid insulin, then you have to keep it in the refrigerator, and then you pull it out as you get close to using it. Sometimes it takes a couple of days or a week before you really get the hang of using inhaled insulin, and you're going to be conservative to start. You're going to make sure that you have your fast-acting glucose with you in case you use too much. You learn how to use it over time. Take what you know about managing your diabetes already. You add the different way of taking insulin to your current knowledge base. Many people find that they really like inhaled insulin as an option for them. Some people shift to it completely for their mealtime use, and others only use it occasionally. And you'll find out what's right for you.
So thank you very much for that, Mark. So I just hope you can see that if you feel comfortable with this and take the time to teach your patients, have them watch the appropriate videos, you can actually teach your patients to quickly become experts in using inhaled insulin, and then hopefully it can help improve their outcomes.